Okay, welcome to another energy update. We're going to do this for the month of April, mostly the month of April. As you all know, if you've heard any of the others before, we're sort of off kilter when it comes to doing these monthly energy updates a little bit. I just don't feel like they follow the calendar year very well. So it seems to be after the full moons in the beginning of the months is often when I'm being told, okay, you can do the energy update. And I had completely lost my voice last week, so here we are, uh, doing it this week instead. And so technically today is April 5th when we're recording this. Now, so we're technically 5 days into April, but the full moon was just last week. So it's yeah, and I think that it's hard to determine where what's kind of coming this year because the year of the horse, the fire horse, is just it's so individualistic to a certain degree. And yet at the same time, yes, there's like a collective momentum, but I think that momentum can just look so different month to month. Like there's no real guarantee anymore. Like I can give you sort of the themes and sort of the things that are going to present, but I can't tell you events. It wouldn't make sense to. It just would be so different. So if you love hearing the energy updates, please hit the subscribe button so that you get notifications as well. But it also helps me a lot by having subscribers on my channel. YouTube likes me for those kinds of things. So anyway, if you want to get notification though when I drop these, because I don't post them all the time on social media, do so, subscribe, hit that like button, and share it with anybody that you might think enjoys these as well. So April's going to be a little different. This is probably something that you can already feel somewhat that's come in from the full moon. It's like a breath between all the crazy intense energy that we have had for the last while, including 2025. I mean, again, we know that 26 energy didn't really come into play until February as is. So it has only been a little short amount of time that we've been feeling this momentum and this expansion energy and, that horse energy really presenting itself. But this is sort of the month for a little bit of a breath. It's going to pause. It's going to slow down. There's going to be a bit of stillness. And it's going to be like that refresh and renewal kind of state. And it goes very well along with spring, where everything sort of starts to wake up again outside and the trees start to bloom and the, plants and the grass start coming back and it starts to build that momentum, right? But everything sort of needs a stillness and a pause before it can go full throttle. And that's sort of what the month of April really feels a little bit like energetically, that it's sort of being presented as stillness. But along comes that stillness can be interesting things that also happen with time. Our time is also becoming a lot more loopier. It's speeding up, it's slowing down, it's getting, whereas at points in times before, even in 25 energy updates, I remember talking about time, but it was kind of more specific. It was going to be like, yeah, time's going to feel rather sticky this month or for the next little bit. And that's just not necessarily the case now. Like it's more fluid. Like it's just time some days might be really slow, might be faster, might be, sticky or weird, or a sensation of, that deja vu or that glitch is kind of happening. Deja vu has been really interesting as well. I've noticed that also shifting and changing for myself and the way that I've experienced that. And that's not just been me. I've had a couple people tell me some of their own experiences with deja vu has been similar. So, like that's a sensation of time though. So deja vu is very much linked to a timeline or a shift in energy or a recognition of energy that creates a timeline that can feel very familiar. But it's almost like it's not even just deja vu anymore. It's almost like this converging, right? So like time has just gotten strange too. And so the month of April, you'll see more of that fluidity of time where it's slowing down, speeding up, those kinds of things as well. And it's not to say that you're crazy for feeling that or understanding that differently, because a lot of people get older and they just think time is just sped up completely, which again is a whole nother topic, which I'm sure we'll probably do another episode on at some point, about that recognition of time and how you can actually instantaneously get your brain to understand time is very fluid. But anyway, just naturally, everybody may be feeling very different with time this month as well because it's going to be very fluid. So I did end up pulling a few cards for this month because I often end up picking up the cards before I even realize what I've done. And I thought, okay, cards might be helpful for this month as well, because again, there's sort of like that split, right, of energy. So there's going to be like this side of the coin and this side of the coin of how behavior and how people might handle these things. Stillness often makes a lot of people very uncomfortable, even still, because it asks them to sit in whatever is there. And if it doesn't feel very good, most people don't want to sit in it, right? Or they want to fill the space, or they want to kind of distract themselves. And then there's going to be other people that are going to be like, oh man, this feels so good, to have a little bit of stillness, to have a little bit of that energy come down a little bit, just a little bit of space. And it's just like, it's not even necessarily integration. This is like the recognition of the momentum energy that can only come in spurts anyway. So it's I don't want to call it integration because it's just not integration in the same way that we've been going through integration. It's not like we've just gotten a whole bunch of downloads again and that we're needing time to integrate it. It's I guess maybe yeah, maybe it's happening more at a physical level where it's like being presented kind of in that way. So anyway, that is what happens when I start to get a bunch of information mid-sentence and then I don't know how to keep up. So if you're watching the video, I will show the cards as well. But so the first card that came out was Whale Song, which is resonating. And this is kind of a really interesting card to have come forth because obviously in stillness we find a lot of resonancy if we're listening. And whales and obviously a lot in the ocean use that echo technology. Or that sense of way of living, right? As they can sense those frequencies through the water. I mean, obviously, stuff travels through the water quite easily from a long ways away. But it's like that sensation where it's like, remember, you might like we do kind of have two separate worlds, really, right? We've got a water world, and then we've got the land, and we've got the dry, the dry stuff, which of course where we reside. But at the same time, the oceans and the water is integrating into the physical sense of the dry life, right? But there's this frequency that is starting to be understood again between both sides. So the lands seem to be talking to each other differently. The animals in the water are talking to the animals on Earth, and that might sound kind of crazy, but it's not. Like that's what's happening with the frequency. And the stillness allows for some of that to become more strengthened and heard, even at our level. If we really listen, we can telepathically communicate with everything, right? Trees, animals, the whales in the ocean, the dolphins, like you ask them to come into your meditation, they will show you things and they will, be happy to share with you their understanding of Earth from the water. It's a very different way of life, obviously. So it's an interesting time for stillness to come into play because all of this sort of reconnection and coming back online is that resonancy. And finding your resonancy means you're finding your truth. And that's important as we move forward. But with that, I am going to read a little bit of the description on these because there's often kind of things that might resonate really well with some people. So, whale song is remembering, harmonizing, and resonating. There are moments in life when you have a sense of deja vu that you visited this place, these feelings, this person before, and you know that a new opportunity to dance has come around again. I'm sorry, but you can't make that up. I literally was just how many minutes ago talking about deja vu. Oh my goodness. Okay. So, yet there's a haunting quality to this, a melancholy as life's mysteries, fragility is also underlined. Like a whale song that pleads for its simple notes to be matched by another, you have a short time to capture this essence and let it resonate in a way that is potentially transformative, but only if you don't turn away. Sometimes you may forget the moments of your humanity, your truest desires, because you become so earthbound and calculating, striving and doing. You're also overstimulated by the chase and what you're exposed to that you forget your heart. Now it's time to jump into water and play and be reminded of your creative self, your collaborative impulse to sing along, seeking harmony, beauty, purpose, and meaning. At this moment, that is your exact invitation. You will achieve more than the plans you set in motion if you use this opportunity to explore, be curious, and take a much needed break from what your mind thinks it needs to accomplish. Your heart is calling, so please do answer. Yeah, perfect, right? Going to go along very well with April energy. So then there was actually two more cards that also came out as well. Hollow bone teachability. I thought this was fascinating because I feel like a lot of people may feel a remembrance of knowledge that their soul is already sort of already carried at a certain level. It's just been like waiting kind of quote unquote for that divine timing or that instantaneous place where it's able to come through in a way that makes sense to you as human, or maybe it was literally you were just waiting for the time to bring it forth. So I think this is also a really good card to kind of go along with April for that stillness and that clarity that often comes when we choose to be a part of it. So hollow bone is being empty so that the wind of spirit can breathe through you. The hollow wing bone of an eagle is a flute for the shamans. The appearance of the hollow bone invites you to become empty of your notions of who you are, to check your ego at the door and know that this is not about you. Relinquish your need to be right and to express an opinion. This will not change anything right now. You're being called to practice humility. Hollow yourself out and hear the wind blow through you and play you like a flute. You will learn the language of the squall and the storm and understand the message in the summer breeze. There is an important communication waiting for you. Humility is the swiftest path for you to become like the hollow bone. Drop all notions and titles that bolster your ego, eliminate the doer, and allow things to happen of their own accord. Remember that you can accomplish almost anything if you're willing to let someone else take credit for it. A hollow bone has to become a caution. Oh, sorry. Hollowbone has come to caution you to believe only 50% of what others think and only 10% of what you think. Trust your experience, not what you have read in sacred books or holy texts necessarily. This will allow you to turn apparent danger into opportunity. Remember that you are a significant grain of sand in the grand scheme of life, and this is important and is an and oh my goodness, and as important as the brightest sun. So again, that integration of self between, everything else is really on par. I just love sometimes that they have me have cards come through like this because it's just so on point. So the third one is mindful, which is groupthink. This is also kind of a really interesting card to come along with the other two. Okay, so the description for this one, keeping a clear mind, hurtful thoughts, and groupthink. The human mind can be so many things: a prison, a latrine, a circus, a temple, a cave. It can be a place of restriction or a place of never-ending expansion. Right now, be careful of where you wander in your mind. The quality of your thoughts is key, as you're in a fertile time for full manifestation. If you want to ensure that the seeds you plant will sprout and flourish into the life you seek to grow, be mindful not to scatter weeds. It's easy to be influenced by others right now, too, especially in our digital age. It's hard to protect yourself from the energy and the sheer amount of information bombarding you 24/7. If you allow all the fear and uncertainty to pollute your mind and emotions, you will fill yourself up with this negativity and see more of it in the outer world. Stay out of the gossip and other forms of groupthink, for when you cut another person down to their level due to their perceived mistakes or limit them by your own envy, you activate lack for yourself. So fill yourself with thoughts of plenty. Imagine your universe unfettered, unfiltered by scarcity, and alive with abundant hope and goodness. Be mindful of what your mind is full of and keep the faith. Good brings more good, love brings more love, and gratitude brings more things to be grateful for. Um, yeah, very potent words again, because there is that split of duality happening, new earth, old earth, if you want to call it that. And that is definitely something that can quickly and easily bring you very, very quickly back into the 3D or old earth energy. Um, and so it does seem very, very, very perfect for that stillness because a lot of people's minds might very well want to take over, right? I will show on camera here if you're watching the video, just the last two cards, just if you want to see them. But yeah, so it's one of those things that it's going to be very potent for. That's why I kept telling people for how many years, just recently, the last few years, that being aware is going to be like self-awareness is going to be your absolute key and tool to make things easier as we go along in time. And this is one of those. If you already have a self-awareness, being able to recognize your thoughts, just simply that is awareness, right? That's what I'm talking about. Those things are going to become easier to be able to ride out because you're not going to find yourself sort of at the bottom of the pit all of a sudden and being like, wow, how long have I been here for? And if you do, that's wonderful still too, because you've recognized that you're there and you had the awareness to understand that you are there. A lot of people don't always, right? So April will be an interesting month, just in general for being the observer and watching sort of, especially at that collective or worldly level, and bringing forth that energy of light and hope and recognition that there's expansion and that there's change happening and that it gets to be for the better. And it's not this big detrimental thing because there's, things crumbling and falling right now. Obviously, chaos brings destruction, but it also brings creation. We need to make space so that we can do these things and we can create something different here. So, that is exactly what is sort of happening for April and that stillness is that recognition that we have the inner power and to choose, not just for ourselves, but even at a collective level to be something better. And 26 will be an interesting year for that because you'll start to see, again, I was already sort of mentioned in one of my other episodes that you'll start to really see that split and you'll start to recognize that. But again, it takes self-awareness to do that. So I hope you have an absolutely incredible month. I hope you have a great day. And thank you for being here and listening.